Hey, everybody, good evening. My name is John DePietro, and on behalf of Bob Zagami, I want to welcome you to RVing in New England. And that means one thing, it's Wednesday night. And for the past 6 months, we've been delivering the best RV news available anywhere to you folks via Facebook Live and through our Be Live program. Mr. Zagami is still in Italy. He's got a couple more days left on his trip. And you know what? Wait a minute, hold on. I hear somebody knocking on the door. Let me hold on a second, folks. This is I'm sorry to do this, but I got to go open the door here because there's somebody coming. Hey, who are you?
Hey, it may be Wednesday there, pal, but it's Thursday over here. It is 1 a.m. Thursday morning in Italy.
Yeah, we want to welcome people. This is our first. Now, we have done what is it, Bob, when you do two countries? When we've done two countries at the same time. But this is our first intercontinental show.
Right.
Right. And tell us what you've been doing. You've been out for about 3 weeks now.
Almost 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks in Italy, celebrating our 50th anniversary with the family. Kids actually went home Saturday, so the last week May and I have to ourselves over here. But we've covered the country, and we've driven the whole country. I would have loved to have done it in a motorhome, but we've done it in a car. And we've done Venice and Florence and Rome and Naples and Sicily and Pompeii and Positano. And I don't know how many miles or kilometers, as they say over here. I don't know how many we've driven, but I'll probably check that when we turn the car in on Friday. So we're going back to Rome Friday night because we have a early morning flight out Saturday morning to head home.
Right. My guess is that driving in Venice was probably the most challenging of all.
Well, it's interesting. It was interesting driving into Venice because we've always gone in either by airplane or by boat. But yeah, it was interesting coming into the city with the highways and the trains, and then all of a sudden hitting the canals, getting on the water taxis, and living on the water for 3 days. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, now we got a couple regulars here. We got Tom Zabrowski. Hi, Tom. Hi to both of you. Nice vacation, Bob. Jerry Plans is here saying hello. Hello from Cape Cod. Well, Jerry, what? Bob is not in an Italian jail. Oh, okay. Okay. Did I say Italian jail? I don't think I said that.
No, a nice villa, Jerry. Right. Hey, great job last week, Jerry, on the show. That was really good.
Yeah. And believe me, Jerry was a last minute. We had some technical scratches, and I called Jerry, and Jerry was kind enough to be available, and we did a great show. In fact, Jerry, we even had people call me after your show and said, boy, that's very interesting what he's doing. I'd like to do the same thing. And I said, you know what? You got to have some RV expertise that Jerry has. But Bob, you posted some photos earlier. And by the way, folks, we've got John and Kathy Huggins. They're standing by in Florida, and they're going to be with us real soon. So stay tuned for them. They're going to be, when I say real soon, I'm saying within a minute or so. But Bob, tell us a little bit about the RV scene. I know you saw a campground in Pompeii. You posted some photos. In fact, if people go to the New England RV Dealers Association Facebook page, those photos are posted there, right, Bob?
That's right. Where we are right now, just scroll down and you'll see the postings from Spartacus Campground right outside the ruins of Pompeii. And we joke, and a lot of people complain about how tight the campground issue is in the United States, and the closeness. But they pack them in like sardines. Almost no room between the campers in the campground.
And I bet you in Sardinia, which is just that island off the coast of Italy, they park them in like sardines there as well.
They probably do. Yeah.
The other thing, like Sardinians.
Yeah. The other thing is surprising is the majority of the RVs are motorhomes. They're small motorhomes from 20 to I just think I've seen a couple that might be 30 feet, a couple of Class A's that might be 30 feet, but the majority of small Class C motorhomes, 20 to 25 feet, built on the Fiat Ducato chassis, which is the Ram ProMaster chassis in the United States. But the pictures I posted yesterday of the RVs going on the ferry from Sicily to Genoa. I think there was only one trailer, and there was probably 15 motorhomes. So it's a good 10 to 1, 15 to 1 between motorhomes and trailers.
Motorhomes over, which is the opposite of what it is in the United States.
Right.
Why do you think that is? Oh, but
I think the size of the roads, the small roads, the width of the roads, and just having one vehicle rather than worry about a car and a trailer. I mean, it's amazing how these large trucks and large buses get around these roads. So you can do it, but you come around some of those turns and you got a 45-foot bus sitting staring you in the face. It's a little daunting.
Right. And those buses, they make it through those tourist buses. They make it through those tiny little towns that you think they're going to rip the side of it off, but they do it.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, maybe because the cars over there are so small that the cars don't have the capability to pull a trailer. The weight.
That's true.
So,
that's true. A lot of small cars. Yep.
So anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I want to welcome our special guests. And Bob, we've had a lot of great guests, but these folks run one of the largest, the second largest Facebook page in the world dedicated to RVing. And without further ado, Bob, let's get in our car and head down to Florida to see John and Kathy Huggins.
Down to that other continent, as you like to say.
Third continent.
Hey, John, Kathy, how are you?
Hi.
We're good, thank you.
We like to start talking. We always say, hello, happy campers.
Well, you just did.
Yeah.
We do more than that, but we won't do the whole shtick tonight.
Do you have a song and a dance, or just a song?
Just a song.
No, it's how we opened our podcast. Hello, happy campers.
Okay.
I'm John.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're living the RV dream.
Hey, Bob.
Well, you sure did.
We've done that.
How many times did you do that?
408 times.
But who's counting?
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you really did. I mean, tell us the history of that podcast. We should say that you're not doing it now, so we don't want to mislead people. But the website, Living the RV Dream, is alive and well and updated. So if you guys want to share your screen and tell us the history of that podcast and all the other things that have led to it, that would be great for our viewers and our listeners.
Well, it started in 2008. Our son was living here, still does. He was a radio producer on a station here in Sarasota. And he called us and he said, hey, I lost one of my Saturday morning drive time shows. Can you guys come in and do an RV radio show? And we said, sure. We didn't know anything about it, but we did. So we went in the studio, and right there we thought of the name, Living the RV Dream. We'd already been full-timing for 4 years. And we did 17 shows with him. We had interviews, and it was wonderful, and it was internet connected. So once it was time for us to leave Florida, it was getting really hot. And I heard about podcasting, so I got took off for about 2 months while I was learning my trade. And we turned it into a podcast, and we hit the road, and once a week for an hour, we did Live in the RV Dream right from our dinette.
And how long did you do that, you guys?
408 weeks.
Oh, 408 weeks. So what's that divided by 50? That's about 8 years worth.
Yes.
Okay.
When did you start? So you had the radio show. Now, when did you start the Facebook page? Because as John mentioned, you have one of the most popular Facebook pages talking about RVs that are out there with a real serious following of people.
It's a group. We have, a little over 50,000. 53,000 when she looked. I think it was about a year later. I wanted to get out there and promote the podcast. So we started that group. And for about the first year and a half, 2 years, we had about 400 faithful listeners. And then I don't know what happened, but it took off like absolutely unbelievable. We went to 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 within a year. And then it just kept on going.
So you must.
I think the reason is we don't put up with the negativity, the swearing, the putting other people down. We don't allow it.
No politics.
No politics, no guns, no religion, none of that. It's strictly RVing.
Well, that was when I first joined it. I think that was one of the things that I enjoyed about it, because many people hide behind the internet, and it's easy for them to say things because they don't have to be accountable for it. But you, I mean, you know, like you say, right from the time I joined the forum, you were holding people accountable, and they didn't have 30 seconds. If they violated those rules, they were off, and you didn't make any apologies for it. You just said, look, this is the way we do it here, and, you know, there's other places if you want to, you know, put up with that garbage or you want to spout that name, go do it someplace else. But you got the reputation as being probably the most honest and reliable group of people that others could look to for answers. I know every time that John or I post something on there with a question, I mean, within 10 minutes, you've got 20, 30, 40, 100 different responses from serious RVers that have been there, that have done that. And it's a trusted source for a lot of people out on the road.
But more importantly, I think, Bob, is that the types of answers that we would get were thoughtful, thought out answers, thoughtful as well, but thought out. They weren't just one word answers. And these were people that were really interested in sharing, you know, what their answer to the question. Hey, I want to go from the background to the present, and I'm going to drop Bob and I down a little bit and ask you guys the question that everybody asks Kathy, or ask John about Kathy. And Kathy, take Bob, John, give her the screen.
Hi. We lost your vocal.
Yeah, we lost your audio.
Give us your health update. I'm doing very well. I had my small bowel was strangled, so I had emergency surgery 3 years ago, and then I got an infected aortic valve, and I had to have open heart surgery. And I've recovered from those, and we're getting back into being alive and busy again. It's been a while. It's been taking me a year to get better.
Yeah, but
I'm feeling great, and I really would like to get back out there.
We actually made a trip right before we sold our RV. We made a trip up to New Hampshire for the Vermont, for an escapee's RV escapade. And that was after she had been through all this. And went very well, but we knew it was time to at least not do full-time anymore. Possibly in the future, there might be a Class C or a Sprinter-based rig in our future. I'm not sure. Yeah. We'd love to do it. It's only money.
Only money.
Yeah. But Kathy is absolutely 100% now.
Was that Escapees event? Was that at Essex Junction?
Yes.
I was there.
Yes.
Yeah, I was there too. Yeah, we were there.
I don't know if we spoke that day or.
That was a week or two after the FMCA rally in Springfield. They were both exactly around the same time of year, that August time frame.
Yeah.
Yes.
That they had that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Bob, you must have a question for these guys.
I see 5 comments, but I can't read the comments. Do we have comments from some of our friends tonight?
They're kind of small, aren't they?
John can bring them up. Can you hear us, John?
Yes.
No, he means John DePietro.
Oh, okay.
Where are you, John?
Was you and me, Bob?
You're coming back up.
Yeah. Oh, glad you could join. I don't
He dropped himself off.
Actually succeeded.
So how long have you been off the road now?
About 3 years.
No. We've been out of the RV
A year and a half.
about 18 months, but
Okay.
the last year and a half we were in it. We were in a campground, the same one. We did make the trip to Essex Junction from there and came back. And at that point, we decided just sitting here in a campground is in this rig. The rig's not getting, more valuable as we sit here. So we decided to sell it and buy a house.
Okay. All right.
But Bob,
So
hold on.
you also have a book.
wait.
Again, I can't see the comments, so John has to control the comments on the other end. I'm not sure.
Hello
If
from
you can-
Australia, Laurie. Hello from Australia. Now, Bob, we have to have set a record because now we're in four continents. Florida is its own continent. Massachusetts is in a separate
Whole continent.
America. Well, Florida, isn't Miami the capital of Cuba?
Not quite yet.
Not quite. Okay. So that was an old joke that the Kenny Rogers people told me. Mario and Danielle, these two guys from Argentina, they say, "Welcome to Miami, the capital of Cuba."
Yes.
And then Laurie is saying hello from Australia. Laurie, we might have 3 or 4 days represented here. We're all in separate days. Bob, you're Thursday morning. Huggins is down south, so they could be a couple years off.
Maybe Tuesday.
Yeah. And Laurie could still be back in May in Australia. But hey, Bob, can you hear me okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get the feeling listening to the Huggins that they still have that burn to get back out on the road? Look at she's nodding her head. They have that burn to get back out there. Bob, take over with that.
Well, I don't think you ever lose it.
No.
Sometimes situations force you to do something a little different, but once you have it, I don't think you ever lose it. And that's why so many people and why it's such a good family environment that multiple generations. I mean, we have multiple generation dealers up here in New England. We're really very fortunate. We have a lot of dealerships that are on their third, some of them their fourth generation.
Wow.
We've
Awesome.
got Arlington in Rhode Island. They're celebrating their 70th anniversary this year. Karen McDonald at McDonald's RV celebrated her 70th anniversary last year and just recently sold out to Pete's RV from New York, who was from Vermont, who was a big exhibitor up at the Escapees rally. Chad Shepard and his team purchased Karen's company. Next year, we got Longview RV, Fran Roberts and Shirley Roberts, who are celebrating their 60th anniversary. Their son, Frank, is running it. So, and it's really great to sit and listen to them and talk about the multiple generations of customers, because that's what happens. The grandparents they took their kids, they had kids, they're seeing 4th, 5th, 6th generations of families that have enjoyed camping. And it's just the ideal entertainment for a family, especially in this environment today.
Yes.
And 2 weeks ago when I was or Memorial Day weekend, when I was at the Good Sam event in Massachusetts with Jason Cole, Lisa's parents were there. Jason and Lisa were there, and their kids were there. So right at the same picnic table, they had 3 generations of people.
That's fantastic.
But give us your background, Huggins, you Huggins guys, as to how you got into this crazy RV lifestyle anyway.
Well, about 3 years before.
John, tilt the camera. Okay, there we go. Go ahead,
About
Kat.
3 years before we decided to actually RV, we had an opportunity to go camping. We had a convention we needed to go to for John's work. So I said, well, let's go camping and try it, because as a kid, I camped all the time. So we bought a tent and we bought all that stuff. We bought air mattresses. We didn't get the air mattress with the ballast in it, So if I sat down, he went up, and if he sat down, I went up. So we decided that.
We laughed half the night.
We were hysterical most of the time. But we met some wonderful people, and we thought, this is such a wonderful, relaxing lifestyle. We didn't even know that full timing existed
No, we
we
didn't.
just saw it weekends or maybe for a week or two. And about 3 years later, we went to the Tampa RV show here during February. January, I'm sorry. And we met an escapee group, and they talked to us for like 2.5 hours about being full-time RVers. And that kind of hooked us.
It sure did.
John got laid off. I didn't care for my job. We sold the house, and then we had to go buy the RV because we didn't even own one. Never been in an RV. We didn't really know much about it. But once we got going, it was just like, this is the way to live. This is absolutely the way to live.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, Lisa, Kathy, is that
John, what did you do before you got laid off? I'm not sure I heard that before. What was your career? What were the careers that you two had?
Well, I was 20 years in the Navy as an electronic technician. And when I retired, I went to work for 1 or 2 companies, and I ended up at Honeywell. Or at a company Honeywell bought, anyway. And they bought 14 companies and decided they were going to disassemble all of them and move it all to Mexico. And I was the guy that did a lot of that moving. So once I got all done with that, they were done with me. And I felt bad for a few minutes. And then I said, wow, I'm free. I hated that job at the end, anyhow. And we talked, and we said this RV thing might work out. We sold the house we were in very quickly at the top of the market. This is 2004 now, or 5, top of the market. So I'm never a guy to go small. And I said, well, I've been reading a lot. So we went and bought a 40-foot diesel pusher.
Wait a minute. That was your first
and only.
Your first wow, that's amazing.
Yep.
And in your book, you probably tell people don't do that.
No, I tell them don't jump right in.
Right.
Tell them to buy used, and it was a used one.
Right. Well, Bob, we have to halt John for a second, because he really wasn't telling the truth about being in the Navy. He was a songwriter, and he wrote the song in the Navy that the Village People made famous.
I wish I had the money from him.
Yeah. He also wrote the song YMCA by the same group.
Right.
Hey, you guys, you know what? I told you, John, earlier that we get lots of great comments from our audience. And when I had mentioned the Coles being at that Mass Good Sam rally, well, I didn't know Rhonda was lurking in the shadows. And Rhonda Cavosa, one of the Mass Good Sam, the president, right? She wrote, my mom and dad and our kids were there also. So there was another group of 3 generations. And Jerry Plant writes in that Majors has been around. Majors RV Service Center in Massachusetts has been around for 44 years, and there's 2 generations there. You know, whatever.
Okay, and I see Ed Liturco's comment that we have Marilyn and Steve Hill on for the first time, and they jumped in and bought a motorhome last year, and they're coming off the road, unfortunately, but they had a good experience the time that they were out there, so they're joining tonight for the first time, and that's good to see them. And Ed, I hope you're feeling better. I know you had some issues this week. And of course, Rhonda is there, and Rhonda keeps a good handle on us every week in case we get out of line. But we talk about the Good Sam. Were you folks? I know you went to the Escapees and you were with the Escapees. Were you ever engaged in any of the Good Sam chapters? Because I got to believe that you have a lot of Good Sam people that are part of your following on Living the RV Dream Facebook page.
Probably are. We were never heavily involved in it. We joined Escapees almost right off the bat. Mm-hmm. Actually, we joined before we bought the RV, thanks to the people we had talked to. So we kind of gravitated to their events. We did make the Maryland National
Maryland State
rally one year. And I don't know how many. We went to a few smaller things, but not too often, no.
Yeah.
Not because we didn't like them, but we did a lot of work camping that a good bit. And
well, let's get into that in just a second. But first, we have a viewer, Melissa Norris McLaughlin. I'm going to read your question, Melissa. While I'm reading this question, just type in where you're watching from. Okay, and here's her question. And I'm sure this would be, Kathy, a good segue to say, well, it's in our book.
It's in our book, right?
Looking to do this when my husband and I retire. And her question is, how do you handle medical and mail? Which might be a good time to segue over to John, who might have that book in his hand.
Yes, he does.
I do.
That book in his hand.
Let me give you a little bit of quick history.
That's your cue, John.
Huh?
We had done the podcast we were in our third year, and we kept getting questions. People kept saying, you guys ought to write a book because we got to go back through these broadcasts to get the information.
Yeah.
So when you get 12 of those emails in 1 month, you write a book. And here it is. So you want to be an RVer. It's not a little book. It's a great big honking thing.
What is it, about 350 pages or so?
Yeah, it's easily that, maybe even more. We cover everything from the rigs that you want to buy, every kind of rig, towing. We cover every aspect of towing, towing accessories, things to watch out for when you're towing. We go into different lifestyles, weekending, snowbirding, obviously full timing, and all the things that go into that.
Hey, John,
and we have
John, would you go to the table of contents and read some of those chapter titles? Just
Sure.
offhand to see what some of those topics are. The glasses come on.
Well, yeah.
The glasses come on.
Here's out of the full timing. The first chapter in full timing is, are you out of your mind? Because that's what people tell you when you tell them you're going to do that.
That's right.
And says, what about your stuff? What are you going to do with all that stuff when you leave? Pick a domicile state. Very, very important topic there. How do I get my mail? We go into that in great detail. What about healthcare? A huge issue. Planning and setting up goals.
Two of the questions that Melissa asked about mail and healthcare are two vital questions.
Well, healthcare.
When you get the book,
is she a full timer?
Yeah.
No, she's in Rockland, Mass. Still, she's in Rockland, Mass.
No, she's a medical. She's waiting for her husband to retire. But Marilyn, Melissa, would you just write in? Do you already own a motorhome or trailer? Write us that note. I don't know whether they own yet. Oh, there I go. Oh my God, it is on Kindle Unlimited. Downloading it now.
There you go.
Okay, so send us our cut. Send us our cut on that. We're gonna get rich on one book.
Well, we wrote it for the aspiring RVer.
Yeah.
We got so many questions. A lot of this information is also on our website, livingthervdream.com.
Yeah.
There are chapters on a lot of that stuff. But the healthcare issue, what I tell people, whatever healthcare you have, will it be portable? If you get sick in another state, will that healthcare work for you or not? It's a big question for you.
An important
when
question.
you full-time, especially, you've got to have health care across the country. Can you afford to RV and buy health care? That's another big one.
That's probably the biggest issue is healthcare.
Yeah.
For mail, you can ask a relative to use their address if you think they are reliable. If you don't want to, there are many.
The UPS store will forward mail.
They, have a mailbox there. Escapees has several places.
Not in Massachusetts.
Not up in Massachusetts. But you can ask. One of the things that we did that I really recommend for people is to go to a campground, kind of walk around and start talking to folks. Because RVers love to talk about RVing.
I do.
Especially their own.
Yeah, and then you can find out all kinds of information from people who are actually RVing. I mean, you just love to talk, so
You'll learn the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And if you haven't bought your RV, you talk to those folks about where did they get their RV? Did they like the service they got? Do they felt that they got a decent deal? Are they comfortable with what they bought? Would they choose something else? I mean, RV folks are full of information.
Well, that's what I talked about earlier, Kathy, about your particular group, your Facebook group, and for Melissa and some of the other folks that are on here tonight that may not be members of Living the RV Dream Facebook group. Melissa, if you go on there, you just mentioned something that you're going to want to have a fifth wheel because you're a chef and you need a huge kitchen. If you go on Living the RV Dream and you ask that question, you're going to be amazed at the number of people and and they'll tell you the coach, they'll tell you the size, they'll tell you the dealer, they'll tell you what they like about the kitchen, what they would do differently. It's absolutely amazing. It always continues to amaze me. But Melissa, if you're not on that group, and obviously you're on Facebook because you're watching us tonight, but you want to go on there and ask those are the exact kinds of questions that people ask all the time, and they get great answers.
Yeah, we have a great group of people. We really do. I'm impressed with them.
And I have a great group of administrators to help me to keep it nice and to get rid of the people that would spam you and put up all the nasty comments. They don't last very, very long. But yeah, I'm very proud of that group.
Yep, you should be.
Probably the best thing we've done, maybe next to our catalog of podcasts, but I'm very happy with it.
Are your podcasts still online? Are they on your website, John, or are they on
our
iTunes?
website? There's a podcast page. There's probably 40 of them up there, the last 40. We made money selling the old ones, so we didn't keep the entire catalog up there. Plus, it cost us money for storage to keep them all up there because they're 1 hour audio files. But on our website, we have a store page, and you can buy our book, and we'll autograph it and send it to you. You can buy a flash drive with all 400 of them on there, plus the 17 radio shows on that flash drive. And we have a lot of people that bought that thing and slogged through all 400 hours of it.
Well, but that's, and here again, because people are on the road, and yeah, you can listen to music and you can listen to the news, or, the world is falling apart, and everything that's wrong with America, but you get 400 hours, like you say, going down the road. Even if it's an hour or two a day, it's every podcast in the RV industry. And I really like Greg Gerbers. I think Greg's done a great job when he was doing RV Daily Report. But I've been an RVer for 40 years, and I've been writing and consulting in the business now since 1996, so 22 years. But every time I listen to an RV podcast, I learn something new. And that's one of the exciting things about being an RVer.
And what Bob is telling you is true, because when we would be driving down to Louisville or driving out to Elkhart, there's only so much radio you can listen to without getting it repetitious. And Bob he'll download some of the podcasts in the days before leaving. And it's interesting to take 90 minutes. And it's true, you can learn something. Now, while we were talking about podcasts, et cetera, Melissa asked a question. And you have to go back in your past on this one. What is your actual residence for tax purposes in voting? I guess we'd say, what was your actual residence for tax purposes in voting? You did sell your house, so you were in fact nomads.
Yes.
So how did
we sold the house, bought the RV in Florida, and immediately headed north to South Dakota.
At least on paper.
Yeah.
South Dakota was an excellent, and still is to some extent, an excellent place to set up full-time residence. There's no state income tax. The registration fees are relatively low. Insurance has gone up some, but it's still not as bad as other states. We hooked up with a very, very good, what do you call those guys? A good company that served as our mail service. There's about 5 of them in South Dakota. But right now, I would recommend Florida.
Or Texas.
Or Texas. Those are the 3 big states. They're all tax-free states. They have different laws, but those are the 3. We did South Dakota and it ended up in Florida.
Okay. And obviously, consult your legal person for that. Or don't take our word for it, et cetera. Because all circumstances are a little bit different.
And if you're thinking about RVing, research as much as you can all the information.
Right.
The more you research, the better decisions you'll make on becoming an RVer, especially if you're thinking full time.
Yeah.
Right. But also, let's recommend to people, don't get paralysis from analysis, because there's so much.
For sure.
Right.
That happens too.
There is so much information out there, and some of it's conflicting information.
Yes.
That you may say, oh, I'm going to wait a little bit, but we just saw a circumstance in the past week where a friend of ours was going to retire, say on June 1st, and on May 20th, he woke up in the morning and couldn't walk.
Oh my.
So he went, and here it is 6 weeks later, they still don't have a diagnosis. He's been going from hospital to hospital. He can't walk. And he kept saying for the last few years, oh, I'm going to get another year out of it because I need the money, blah, 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 blah. But he used a walker to go to his retirement party, his surprise retirement party on his last day at work. So there's that aspect of it to think about as well. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
We were 58 when we didn't exactly retire. I just didn't have a job and she hated hers. We were 58. And I'm so happy that we did it then. My real goal was to work 2 more years and save up more money, but we hit the road and we don't regret one bit of it.
Of all your travels, John and Kathy, of all your travels, everybody likes to know what you liked best. Now, everybody has different tastes and everybody has different desires when they're on the road as to what they see, but what were some of your more memorable moments when you were full-timing?
We were in Glacier National Park, and it was the weekend that the mountain flowers started to bloom, and it was beautiful. And it's just Glacier is such a relaxing, peaceful place. We were there for at least a week, and we wish we could have stayed longer. But we had already set up to do some other things. But that was one of my favorite places.
I think my favorite's not a place, but the people we met while we were full-timing. And we're still in touch with a lot of them.
Yes.
Some have quit and hung up the keys. Some are still out there. But we made lifelong friends along the way. And as well as through the podcast, we met people and eventually met up with them. And one of you mentioned Greg Gerber.
Oh, yeah.
And Greg got in touch with me and we met in Arizona. And unfortunately, I'm the guy that convinced him to buy an RV and go full time in it for a while, which didn't work out too well in the end. But I think I also said, you need to do a podcast too, Greg. And that started him on it.
We've met Nelson.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But it was good. He did have some issues, but it was good having him on the road because, as you well know, many of the journalists in our industry and many of the people who report in our industry and many of the people who build the products that we use in this industry are not out in campgrounds. They don't use the products. They don't go RVing. Greg was on the road for 3 years reporting as an RV journalist, hands-on, face-to-face, talking to people, just as you said, John, in the campground, getting the real stories about the lifestyle, what people are doing. So you did a great service for the industry by convincing him to do that. And I know I did several podcasts with him when he was on the road, and he loved every minute of it. He had some issues, but that's one of the things about RVing. We do have issues, but we keep coming back to it. We love it. We love the lifestyle.
And we got to admit that when we had Gerber up in Maine, we took him up. What was that lobster place that we took that he was absolutely in love? A Wisconsin guy getting to eat lobster.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was up in Cape Nettic, Maine. He loved it. In fact, he might come back this summer. We're trying to convince him to come back this summer.
Yeah.
Trying to get Mark and Don Polk to come up, and you get up to Maine, you got to get lobsters. That's right.
Yeah. Hey, while we were talking about Kathy, while you were talking about Glacier, we just got a note from Jerry Plant, who's going, interestingly, taking Route 2, US 2 across America, and he's going to Glacier in August on his way west. Is there anything you want to tell Jerry about a must-see spot within Glacier?
Well, you have to take the going to the Sun Road, which takes you up onto the mountain. But the best part about that is when we went, they have an area where they stop and they have buses that go up there. So if you want to hike back down, you can take a bus up. And halfway up, there's like a rest area kind of place. And we stopped and used the restroom, and we're kind of talking to folks, how you do. And this young couple, the bus came by and they didn't get on the bus. So when I said, are you guys okay? And they said, well, there was only one space on the bus and we want to travel together. And I said, well, we're going up to the top. We'll take you. So they got in our car, and we found out that her dad was the supervisor of maintenance on the Going to the Sun Road. So we got a foot-by-foot explanation of everything happening that had happened in the last 40 years on the Going to the Sun Road. It was just great information.
And maybe in August they will have the snow cleared off.
Yes.
Because I saw a video 3 days ago, and they still had 5 feet of hard-packed snow under the bulldozers, and they had maybe 15-foot drifts on either side. Well, not on either side, only on one side of the road. The rest falls off the mountain. It's rough up there until later in the season.
But the fact that you did something good for someone else gave you a special preview that you wouldn't have had if you had just bypassed those folks, huh?
Absolutely.
And you have to go to there's a hotel there that has the big wooden timber support beams. And you have to go see that.
It's an old lodge that was built by the railroads back in the 40s.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And
you must go there. It's just gorgeous.
Hey, we're coming up on the last few minutes here, but Andrea Holbrook writes, Kase writes, what an inspiration. Love hearing stories like this. I hope someday to do the same. Well, Andrea, tell us where you're from. Just type in where you're from. And on a sad note, Jerry Plant wrote that that trip was already, that event was already vetoed by his wife.
I think Jerry's talking about the road.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So if his wife had not vetoed it, by the time John got talking about the snow, she would have vetoed it. So Jerry, you can forget going up that road. That's out of your picture.
If you go to the hotel, you can take the red bus.
The red.
And it's like a tour bus, and they go up on the road, and you don't have to drive. You got plenty of time to look and see everything.
Yep.
But it's one of my favorite parks.
It's mine too.
Hey, John, as we close, hold up that book. I'm going to knock Bob down here for one sec. Bob and me down.
Go ahead.
There we go.
There we go. So can they buy? They can go right to your website, right? livingthervdream.com.
To the store page.
Yeah.
There's a page on there that's a store. I've marked the book down. Actually, it's $15, and we'll autograph it and send it out to you. Or you can go to Amazon. It's $19.95 as a book. It's $9.95 as an ebook.
Okay. Yeah, and I think somebody's already bought one tonight. I think
it's great.
Our friend
all the links. Yeah. There's over 100 links in here to the people we consider experts, and in the ebook, all those links are live. So you can go right to the places.
Okay.
Good stuff. I love writing it.
We loved writing it.
Kathy wrote a couple of chapters.
Bob, did you hear that correction?
Yes.
Yes, her name is. She's one of the.
Did you hear that slight
I think I
correction?
caught that. Right.
Got to keep him under control here. You know that.
Oh, he says, I loved writing it. And the elbow immediately went into his stomach that said,
Yeah, we
right.
did.
And we should keep the camera live on with him.
She's my biggest critic.
But,
Well,
but you can get it on your website. But you got the final question, because you got to get back to bed. Because it's almost what? It's almost 2 a.m. there.
Yeah, it is. Almost 2 a.m.
Smiling.
You're right.
Where are you now, Bob?
Well, huh?
Where are you now?
What town?
I am in Montevideo, Italy. It's about 30 kilometers northwest of Rome.
Yeah.
And we've been all over Sicily, Florence. Oh, God, Rome, Naples, Pompeii. The history in Pompeii was fantastic. So it's been a good 3-week vacation to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. So we're very blessed and very fortunate. Next time I come, I'll do it in the motorhome.
50 years. That's awesome.
Yes, it is.
Rookie.
Yeah. And look at it. It's been really great having you on the show. We love doing the show, and we love you can tell the real world stories for our friends and our guests. We had quite a good following tonight and some good questions that we had there. So, John, I'm all done. I'll let you sign off.
Great. That's super. So we want to tell you folks, we want to again thank John and Kathy for being with us. Their website is Living the RV
Dream.
LivingTheRVDream.com, or go to Facebook. And that group on Facebook, that same group, is very, very active.
Yes,
So if you've got any kind of question that we didn't answer here, go to that Facebook page. I guarantee you, folks, that within a matter of minutes, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, if it's a semi-normal question, you will get people that will share their heart and soul with you with that particular situation. So we want to thank you so much for being with us. And
thanks for having us.
We want to let you know that this has been RVing in New England. We'll see you next week. And as my grandson says, same time, same channel. Now, back to you in the studio.